Peace. I'm Militiamen, and I thank you for joining us. Before we get to the video of the quote-unquote militiamen, what some are even attempting to label as terrorists, the European brothers and sisters that are in Oregon right now making a constitutional stand against the U.S. democracy, de facto quote-unquote government. Before we get to the footage, I just want to read you some statements from the Oral Statements and Prophecies of Noble Drew Ali. It's a very small book. It's a collection of statements. If you aren't familiar, Prophet Noble Drew Ali was a brother who was born in 1886 in North Carolina territory in North America. He did a lot of great works. Matter of fact, I'll read quick, just some brief in the intro. Yeah. Here we go. Noble Drew Ali was a prophet of law, order, and governmental principles. He set up Moorish missionaries and temples as vehicles to achieve those ends. The nature of the above-mentioned institutions have a Rotarian complexion, are to help in the great missionary outreach program founded for the great moral, ethical, spiritual, and economic cause for the uplifting of fallen humanity. While Noble Drew Ali declared that he is a universal prophet, he also distinctly declared that he came to the Moors of North America because we needed him the most. Therefore, it must be recognized and accepted that his works, teachings, and instructions were not meant to be limited to a few select persons. Prophet Ali's works, teachings, and statements are not to be suppressed, held back from, nor hidden from the masses of the natural peoples of the land. He said, "Come all ye Asiatics of North America and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights." So, a little brief. If you want to know more, you can go to IAMHHtemple.org. You can go on the IAMHH Temple YouTube channel. You can check out Canaan Land Moors. That's CANAANLAND Moors. You can go to rvbaypublications.com. That's RVBEY publications.com, all one word. You can go to Khalifa Media. That is CALIFA media.com, all one word. You can go to moorishdirectory.com, Moorish, MOORISH, directory.com, all one word. I think that should be enough. But if you want to know more about Noble Drew Ali and the movement, check those out. Right now, we're going to check out the statements that he made. Then we're going to get to the video, and then we're going to come back and discuss it a little bit. And the first statement is number 45. And it reads, "I'm going to leave the European here just long enough to teach you how to run a government." And then on number 57, it states, "Sister A. Brown L. of Temple number 4 and number 25 said that the Holy Prophet said to the Moors, 'Watch the newspapers and listen to the radio. I'm going to make the Europeans tell the truth.'" And now, being that this is 2016, we can also tune into television, internet TV, blogs, websites, all sorts of different media outlets to hear the truth being told. And the last one I wanted to read is number 185. It says, "The Holy Prophet said, 'I am going to make the European enforce my law.'" Interesting. So without further ado, I want to show you the video. I want you to pay very close attention to the words and the terms being used. If you don't have it right now, pause, go grab your law dictionary, your unabridged dictionary. Make sure you have those out, take some notes, look words up if you don't know what they mean. Don't just believe you know what they mean. Find out and make sure that you know exactly what they mean. Look into the etymology of the words. Look up any historical references you may hear. And just overall look into anything that is mentioned in the video, such as the supreme law of the land. I'll leave you with that one. So now I'll present to you the video.
He'll answer other questions in a minute. He asked me to just make a few comments. Lavoy Finicum. And I'm a ranch, L-A, capital V-O-Y-F-I-N-I-C-U-M. I'm a rancher in northern Arizona. I'm here to support the Hammonds. There's been a lot of words that have been said here. I see some eyes that started to kind of glaze over a little bit. Maybe I can bring it down to a little more emotional level or a human level. Each one of you here today are important. Individually, each one of you are important. Not collectively, we're talking about you as an individual, as a human being. The Hammond family are human beings. They're individuals. They have loved ones. They have children, grandchildren. This is real. This affects real lives. And so that's why we're here today. And if our federal government would have abided by the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, we would have never have gotten here. And so let me just kind of come to a simple level of why this is so bad at the federal level. Our founding fathers had escaped from tyranny. They believed in freedom. And so when they set up our government, they separated the powers, didn't they? And we all know what they are: executive, legislative, and judicial branches. We know those three branches of power. Well, what has happened to 1/3 of our landmass? Do you know that the federal government owns and controls 1/3 of this nation? Let me put that in perspective. You need to put in the country of Germany, and put in France, Spain, Portugal, Italy, and better throw in Great Britain too. And then you're getting about the same landmass as what the federal government says that they own and control. And they say they have complete legislative power whatsoever. They have taken it to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has upheld it. Yes, they have complete power whatsoever over 1/3 of this nation. Now, let me explain it simply as I can, as I try to stumble over my words here, is that for myself as a rancher, my ranch is in northern Arizona, a bureaucrat behind a desk can write a statute regarding me, my ranch. It has the force and effect of law. This bureaucrat is not accountable to me. We have not elected him there. Now, if I get contrary to that statute, there's a federal ranger with a gun that can enforce that. And if it goes from there, I am brought into a federal court. Neither the law enforcement, the federal ranger, has been elected by us, the people here. They are not under the power of the recall. Neither the bureaucrat that wrote the statute, neither the law enforcement that enforces it, and now I am hauled into a federal court. All three branches of power under one head with no representation. Did we not, as Americans, face this issue some 200 years ago? Don't we remember that phrase? Taxation without representation. So now here we are, control without representation. 1/3 of our landmass. It's an empire within our own country. Unaccountable, unelected. The real power is in the bureaucracies. And so that's kind of the simple part of it. It's about family. It's about my family. It's about the Hammond family. I've spoken to many ranchers in Utah, in Nevada, in Arizona. They are all feeling the same thing. They're all feeling this oppression that is coming down upon them. Their livelihood is threatened, being taken away. Their ranchers are being regulated out of business. And so this is real. These families are real. They're not trying to cause problems. They're food producers. They help make our country self-reliant, free, independent. Do you realize that you have to go back to about 1955 to get as low as the mother head count as we have right now in the United States? Have any of you ate a steak lately? Do you know the price of that? That goes way up. If we had more demand, if we had more production, we would ship out more, we would feed more, we would be self-reliant as a country. These are good people. They produce, they add to our country. They do not take it away. I want to say one more thing about here, what we're doing. Every one of you that says this is an occupation until their demands are met, you misunderstand. We're not making demands. We're not making demands. we're here to work. These buildings here belong to Harney County. These are Harney County public lands, the state of Oregon. This is theirs. This is their land. This is their state. It's theirs. And so we've come here to work. We've not come here to sit as children and stamp our feet and demand that certain things are met. We're going to go to work. We're going to try to help restore these ranchers that have lost their ranches back to them. We're going to legally go to the records. We're going to search out these ranchers. Over 100 ranchers have lost their ranches here in this very area, in this very county, have been pushed off. We would like to see them return to their ranches, ranch again, log again, live again as free people. And so we're here to try to help that happen. We're going to go to work. We're not going to just sit down here and twiddle our thumbs. We've got a lot to do, and I appreciate you being here. I'm just a simple hick, and doing the best I can. And I love this country. I love my kids. I love my wife. I love my family. And if we lose freedom, what shall they do? I want my children to experience real freedom, breathe free air, and I thank you.
Mr. Bunn, do you have time for any questions?
I'll answer a few questions.
What do you make of it that there hasn't been law enforcement here? Have they been in touch with you?
Indirectly.
They've been indirectly in touch?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means that they have reached out to individuals that we are closely affiliated with and have give messages to us.
What are those messages?
That they intend not to come upon us.
Have you heard anything from the Hammond family in regards to your statements here about them today?
Well, I just made them, so no.
Well, I mean, did you contact them in advance of the statements to see where they feel about your
My relationship to the Hammonds has been about 8 weeks ago. I came to Burns and I met with them many times in their homes. I watched them in tears multiple times as a 74-year-old man covers his head and cries and asks, how can this happen to another individual? I love the Hammonds. I can sympathize with them. I can empathize with them. And they were afraid that after the threats came from them for speaking to me, they did pull back and have continued communications through, should we say, alternative ways. But I have not spoken to them in several days.
How long do you plan to be here, and have you, in a sense, already made the statement?
Excuse me?
How long do you plan to be here, and have you, in a sense, already made a statement?
We definitely have made a statement, but statements are not good enough. We intend on going to work and assisting the people of Harney County in claiming their rights, using their rights as free people.
More details on going to work. What does that mean, going to work?
Well, we have a lot of work to be able to unwind the unconstitutional land transactions that have taken place here. We also have a lot of work to unwind the claims that the federal government has upon this land. And we have teams that are going to be doing that. We have very specific plans that we are going to take place. And we have a defense mechanism that allows us to do this while we are here.
What about the people that work in the center downstairs? You know, I assume that there was employees at this wildlife refuge. Are they going to be part of your plan? Are you welcoming them in, or have you guys?
We haven't been in contact with any of them.
Are you saying
What do you say to people who say that this group is breaking the law?
I would say go to the Constitution, take the time to study it, and find out what is lawful and what is not.
Is there anything that would make you say, okay, we can end this and go home now?
I wouldn't say words would do it. I would say action would. And that would be for the federal government to remove its unconstitutional presence here in the county.
So you want the federal government to give up this wildlife refuge, give it back to ranchers? Is that the demand?
I want the federal government to abide by the Constitution of the United States.
Does the Constitution of the United States not allow, I'm sorry, I haven't studied that.
No, go
part.
ahead.
It does not allow for federal land of any kind?
It does allow for federal land of any kind, but it has to be seeded properly. They have to get permission from the state legislatures. They have to purchase that land, and they can only use it for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings. And wildlife refuges do not fall within those enumerated authorized lands.
So would this be a first step, and you'd like to see other federal wildlife refuges liberated as well?
Yeah, that's up to the state and the counties what they would do with those refugees.
Mr. Bundy, do you have anybody who is from the county who's with you and down there and saying they're also not going to leave?
No, not with us here, the staying, because their homes are much more comfortable than that.
If the authorities try to remove you forcibly, how far are you willing to take this in the defence of your cause?
We do not believe that they will do that.
What if they do?
Yes. Excuse me? No, they are not. But we welcome them here, absolutely.
The Obama administration looking into gun control, do you think?
Okay, one more question.
Some of our listeners say that if this had happened at a federal building in downtown Denver, the feds would have gone in guns blazing 24 hours ago. Why are you different?
One is we're based on constitutional principles. We know that we're right, and we chose a facility that was not downtown. Thank you.
How many are you, sir? How many?
All right, we're back. Before I get to the notes that I took and expand a little bit on what was being said and how that applies to us, so-called black people, so-called African Americans, so-called Negroes, so-called people of color, I wanted to qualify the Noble Drew Ali prophecy or statement about paying attention to the media. Please keep paying attention to the media because the truth will be told. However, you have to listen very carefully and do your due diligence and research. You can't just believe the information that is being given to you because the truth is there, but it's mixed in with a lot of falsehoods. You know, what we call the news. CNN, MSNBC, Al Jazeera, what's another one? Fox, CNBC, all of these quote unquote news organizations and media in general, especially in the United States, is all being controlled by a small group of people. And this is not a quote unquote conspiracy theory. This is a simple fact. You can look it up for yourself. So you have to realize that it's not in their interest to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. They may tell you some truth, but they'll mix in a lot of lies. They'll mix in and they'll frame the news or the programming and design it in their best interest, which is not our freedom, which is not, justice, which is not equality and eliminating discrimination and poverty and, uplifting humanity. That's not their goal. Their goal is to get you to tune in, to get you to believe what they say, and, buy stuff, with the advertisers. Anyways, let's get to the facts. I heard the brother mention human rights, and you know what? And also, this is another thing. You should listen to what's being said and also what's not being said. And I heard him say human rights, but I didn't hear him once say civil rights. It's interesting, right? So-called black people have been marching for civil rights, but I never hear other people really saying that we are demanding our civil rights. And that's because, and I'll show you just a moment, this is the Black's Law Dictionary. It is the 4th edition, and this is simply a dictionary of law terms, of words and what they mean in a legal framework or in a lawful capacity. And so I looked up civil right, which is on page 1487 under rights. And it reads, civil rights are such as belong to every citizen of the state or country. Let me read that one more time. Civil rights are such as belong to every citizen of the state or country. So, if so-called black people are marching and sitting in and demanding civil rights, that probably means that they're not actually a citizen, because civil rights are just the rights of citizens of whatever country or state that you're a part of. So if you don't have civil rights, you're not a part of that state or country, i.e. the United States of America. Look up the Dred Scott case and the Dred Scott decision for further information in regards to why, as blacks, quote unquote blacks, or Negroes, or African Americans, we are not a part of the United States of America. We are not citizens. It's very simple when you study. I just wanted to read that. I also heard him say that the people they are claiming and using, that they are there to claim and use their rights. And then he qualified it. He said, as free people. Why would he say that? And what people aren't free? Interesting. I heard him talk about unconstitutional land transactions. I heard him say that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Where did he get that idea? Well, the Constitution for the United States of America. I have one here. You can look it up online for yourself. If you don't have one, I suggest you buy one, especially if you are in the United States of America or at the United States of America. And this book is a Constitution of California, but it has the Constitution for the United States of America. And in Article 6, Section 2, it reads, this Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So, that's that. And, oh, actually, let me go back to the Law Dictionary, because I want to read you what supreme means in law. Supremacy is the state of being supreme, or in the highest station of power, paramount authority, sovereignty, sovereign power. Interesting. And supreme is defined as superior to all other things. So, the Constitution and the laws of it and the treaties are superior to any other laws in this land. Understand that. All the statutes, all the codes, all the rules, all of those are inferior. They are below, underneath the Constitution, which is why it's very important to study the Constitution, especially if you are in the United States of America. And it's why those brothers and sisters are using it and standing up for their rights, and why they can command so much power and authority. You know, I hear people talking about, well, you know, it's because they're quote unquote white, and that's why they're able to take over a federal building and have arms, and they're not killed. But quote unquote black people, if they're just protesting in the streets over unjust murders and killings and police brutality, you know, we get labeled terrorists and thugs and rioters and looters. And it's because one group of people is using and standing on the law, the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Whereas so-called black people, what are we standing on when we do that? Our beliefs, our emotions, our feelings. It's not very solid ground, is it? There's one other thing, there's two things else that he said. That they are not there to sit like children and stomp their feet until demands are met. Nah, we're not just going to yell in the street, no justice, no peace. Not going to have sit-ins and die-ins. He said they're there to work. Oh, matter of fact, that was another thing that I didn't mention the first time around. I wanted to go back to the prophecies. Because it was another prophecy that I didn't even realize until they started speaking. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it off the rip. I should have had it before I started recording. But basically, the prophecy was saying that a small portion of European... here we are. On number 112. And this again, prophecies and oral statements of Noble Drew Ali. Brother T. Booker Bay, Emeritus, said that the Holy Prophet said, I like good peas and beans. I'm going to save 8% of the Europeans because they are good farmers. And you heard him speaking. They're just trying to get to work. They're ranchers. Ranchers, farmers. Just trying to get to work. Prophetic, I tell you. The last thing that I wanted to read, I wanted to speak on, was him saying, yes. He said that, he's speaking back to answering the reporter's question, that they need to study the Constitution and find out what is lawful and what is not, which is different than legal. Lawful and legal are not the same thing. You got to be very careful and pay attention to when people use those two different terms. And I don't even want to give you the definitions of what lawful means and what legal means. I would like for you, yes, you right there watching right now, to look it up in a law dictionary and see what lawful means, and then see what legal means. Then compare and contrast the two. And then listen for politicians and law officials and officers, and listen to the terms they use. See when they speak on lawful or legal. So I really wanted to, and the whole point of this is not necessarily because I am in support of their movement. I'm not even that well versed in their court case and everything that they're doing. But what I do recognize is prophecy manifested itself. And seeing people, that was the other thing. Getting ahead of myself. See, I read a couple of statements from Noble Drew Ali, but there's also, I'm going to read from this small little book, the Moorish Divine National Movement. It has a collection of short essays, I guess you would call them, or speeches, statements from Noble Drew Ali. And I just wanted to read some of it so that we can be very clear what Noble Drew Ali was about. Because I also recognize in these days and times, there are people that want to color this movement as just being a religious movement, but it's a divine and national. So there's a spiritual component. There's also a national, a lawful component, a constitutional component. And I wanted to show and prove, not from what I say, but from what the founder, a prophet, Noble Drew Ali, wrote down and spoke and said to us. This is a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to names and the principles that allude to slavery, such as clinging to us calling ourselves black, negroes, coloreds, African Americans, people of color, niggas, etc. A little further down, here we go. I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending upon your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national Constitution of the United States of America. Excuse me. Powerful. And I'll read just a little bit more. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. Man, it gets. Let me see if I can read a little bit more for you. Through your free national name, for us it would be Moorish American. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. Man. I mean, there's more statements, but I just wanted to read that because I really felt like it highlighted the fact that Noble Drew Ali wasn't just about religion, that this movement isn't about trying to convert people to Islam or some sort of religion. That is a component. There is a component, and really it's cosmology. You should look that word up. Don't believe me. I don't even want you to believe what I'm saying here. I want you to look up The Divine Warning for the Nations by Noble Drew Ali. Look up the Oral Statements and Prophecies. But yes, this movement is not just about the religious side. It is about enforcing the Constitution for the United States of America, and getting Moorish Americans that are currently classified and enslaved with the term Black, Negro, African Americans, etc., getting them back into the constitutional fold of government. And then we can take our place in amongst the affairs of men. Yeah, I think that is about, I think that's it. And for the people, I'll say this last thing. For the people that do support the brothers and sisters in Oregon that are standing up for their constitutional rights and, standing up for the true principles of the United States of America, the Republic, not the democracy. If you do support that, then I ask you also to please support the Moorish Divine and National Movement. How can you do that? It's very simple. Please stop calling us blacks, people of color, African American, Black American, Negroes, niggas, any of those terms that all delude and all are connected to being chattel slaves, and call us by our free national name, our true name, Moors, more specifically Moorish Americans. With that, I say peace, much love to you.